Hi, in this video we are going to go over the course project, and I know this is a big assignment and people can get a little anxious about it, so I want to make sure that we cover the whole process because there are multiple steps to it, so that you know where we are and where we're going with the project. You do have the whole semester, which depending on when you're taking this class may not be exceptionally long, but the ultimate final paper is not due until the last week of the course. However, there are assignments along the way that count in that category that you do not want to miss. So that is why we started this module, and I know you already passed this page, so you may want to go back to the beginning of the module with a timeline. And this is also on your course calendar document that you can get to up here. It's that Google Doc with the calendar on it. So this is the course project timeline for the semester that I'm recording the video in. It may not reflect your exact timeline depending on when you're taking this course. So make sure you just do refer to this. All of these items are also in the modules. So you can always sort of get a big picture overview of the course project on the timeline, but the assignments and the submissions are spread out in the different modules. So what we're doing in this video is just going over the course project, what it is, the first step, which will be finding somebody to interview, because this is a psychosocial interview. So what does that mean? What it means is that you are going to interview someone from another racial ethnic background, someone different than yourself. We will talk about what that means in a second. And from what you gather out of their interview, you are going to write a paper. So it'll be like an analysis. You're going to take what you're learning in the class and compare it to what that person is talking about, their experience, and then you're going to present it in a final paper, which we're calling the course project. Well, I'm calling it, because I got to make up the name, a course project or psychosocial interview. So it's all the same thing. The course project, the psychosocial interview, the final paper, those are all the same item. It's just done in multiple steps. So let's move my head and see if we can click next here and get to the next page. And it doesn't want me to do that. So I'm just going to go to the next tab. Okay, this is the page that has the directions for writing the paper. Now you started this assignment, this Edpuzzle, on an Edpuzzle page, right? It had an Edpuzzle at the top. It had a link on it, and the link went to the directions. So if you want to go back, pause this, open up a new tab with the directions page so you can kind of follow along. Now again, depending on when you're watching this video, it might have changed. Obviously, you might not be in week 2, but generally you're going to see the same information. I'll try not to make this sort of date specific. We'll be a little more general in the explanation. All right, this is a big paper. It doesn't mean it's exceptionally long, but it does have a lot of parts to it. And that's why I have a page with all of the directions, and you also have a template. So we're going to look at the template also as we go through this. This is a full APA formatted paper, and you do have a module on APA. What it is, if you've never used it before, many of you taking this class are generally taking this because you're a psych major or a related major. So you're familiar a little bit with APA. So we do kind of cover it. If you've taken my class before, yes, it's the same Edpuzzles, so sorry. But you do have a template for this paper also, and it'll give you like that title page, so you kind of have the format. And the link for that is here. I'm going to go ahead and open this. It may take a second because, you know, computers and recording and all of that. But as we go down here, you have your AI policy. I have this set as a level 2, and that means that you cannot create new content using AI. You can use AI to improve the clarity of your work, meaning like if you use Grammarly, for example, to help clean up the grammar. Do not do that in the interview, like the transcript. I want exact word for word. Any AI use must be accompanied with a disclosure statement. You have a link to that here. Do not let AI write your paper for you, please. I use AI a lot. I'm getting pretty good at being able to tell. Also, I have subscriptions to multiple tools. So just don't put yourself there. I'd rather read, like I've said, probably you've heard me say many times, I'd rather read your not so correct or not so perfect writing that you actually wrote than to read some more like Chat GPT output. And that goes for the humanizer too, because all it does is make you have run-on sentences and misspellings. It makes me want to refer you to the tutor. So just try to avoid all of that, please. Okay, sources. We will be having an assignment to help you gather the sources for this paper. Now, you've probably written research papers before, but sometimes students haven't. This might be their first semester, and that's why we kind of go in depth with sources here. You will need your textbook. It is a must to use the textbook, and a minimum of 4 other academic sources. Now, there is another module where we will go over what are the academic sources that I want you to use for this assignment. And I can tell you right now, like, spoiler alert, Wikipedia is not one of them. Neither are encyclopedias or dictionaries. Please do not quote Oxford Dictionary. That's basic. Like, you're beyond that. Like, we're not going to be basic. Okay. Any source without an author, generally want to kind of shy away from those because you could be citing really anything. So we want academic scholarly articles, and we will learn more about that later. We do, or we should, have an embedded librarian in our course. You should be able to see that person under the People's tab, and they should also have a module. Now, I say should because we can't always get an embedded librarian every semester. So just double check. If you don't see one, it means we're in a semester where we don't have one. That doesn't mean you cannot get help from the librarian on live chat or in person at the library. Here's a link to finding sources for your paper. Again, we will go over that in another module. What I want to give you today is just an overview of what you're going to be doing so you can kind of situate it in your mind as we move forward. It does not mean that you're writing any of this week. Okay. Your paper will have these sections. Each of the sections has a check mark next to it, and they all are formatted in or on the template. So let me see if I can get the template open over here. So this is the template. How do you use a template? You have to make a copy of it. You go to File, you go to Make Copy. Please don't ask for edit access, because if I do that, then you start typing on this and everyone sees your work and it messes up the template for other people. So please just File, make a copy. This goes for most Google Docs that I share in any of my courses. Now, I'm sure there's probably some fancy way to like make all these Google Docs that are assigned to you individually. I have no clue how to do that. So just please make a copy. All right, back to the directions. Title page, you saw that on the template. It will have the format for the title. Anything on the template that is like highlighted in yellow, it means you have to like remove it or change it. Like this is not XX, like you're not interviewing XX. This is where the name would go. This is where your name would go, right? The rest I kind of put in, I'm gonna have to fill in the date. So use some critical thinking. If it doesn't look like something you would write on a paper, then you want to delete it. Get rid of it when you make your copy. So down here you have like a lot of yellow highlight because this is where your actual writing will go. I do put some more sort of detailed directions, tips in this section. And some examples also just to help you. Now, the length in here is not like indicative of how long that section should be. I can't provide that much information on the template. But it's, and I say that in here too, but it's just an idea. What you mainly want are the headings. So you see the first headings here. This would be a first level heading. You have the title, and then you have your introduction. Then you have the interview. This is the verbatim transcript of the interview you'll conduct. And you're like, what the heck, an interview? Yes, that's the next ed puzzle this week. All right, let's go back to the directions. In the introduction, you see here that what you're going to write in the introduction and how much it's worth. And then you have these little drop-down boxes, and this will just give you some more sort of details of what to include in the introduction and about how long it will be. I'm recording this video, but you're not seeing that there will be little videos here just to go over that section if you need more help. So you don't see them right now because they haven't been recorded yet for this course, but they will be here It'll be like a little tiny square right in that gray box. Okay, the interview. We're covering the interview in the next Edpuzzle video, so I won't go into depth, but you do include the transcript of the video in your paper. Yes, it might be very long. No, you don't have to like make it super fancy formatted. Single space, however it comes out of YouTube is fine. You do not need to correct any grammar or spelling. Nothing needs to be changed from the I want exactly what they said, even if they used all the curse words. That's totally fine. I don't mind. Now this analysis section, that's the big writing part. The introduction, you can you're just describing who you interviewed. The analysis is where you're really going to be using the academic evidence that you learned from reading the textbook, completing Edpuzzles, the assignments we've done in the course, and some of the outside research that you'll do. So this analysis section is 4 paragraphs. And when I say a paragraph, I'm not talking about like middle school paragraph. I'm talking about college level 6 to 8 sentences paragraphs. And if you're like, whoa, I don't know about that, I strongly suggest you see a tutor sooner than later to help you structure paragraphs. There are tutors online or in person. You can go into the Skills Center and get help. This class is only offered once a year, so you may not get a tutor that actually took this course, but all of the tutors for psychology have written APA papers, and they can help you with that especially. Okay, 4 paragraphs. There's 4 different topics, 1 topic for each paragraph. These are the analysis sections. And you have a drop down here with the different areas of analysis. So the first 2 of the 4 are required. You will be writing 1 paragraph on social identity. And this can include racial and or ethnic identity or social identities. And we'll actually learn about that, and you'll actually be writing sort of the draft paragraph. I don't know what week because I don't have it memorized right now, but before you have to submit your paper, right? That I can then review, provide you input on, and you'll actually be able to use it in your paper. You will write the second of the analysis section, second paragraph, on intersectionality. And so it's, again, another big topic we cover. We have videos on it. We have readings on it, throughout the course. The 2 other paragraphs or topics in this section you get to choose. And this is generally selected based on what your interview consisted of. So all of these topics are going to align to suggested interview questions. So I'm going to use an example of what not to do, which may help. If you interview someone and they did not immigrate here or migrate here, you don't have a lot of data, let's say, from that person on immigration or migration. You would not choose to write about immigration and migration because you don't have anything to really say because your person didn't immigrate or migrate here, right? So you want to make sure and choose topic areas that, 1, are interesting to you, that your person is comfortable speaking about. And when we look at the interview questions, you'll have multiple questions in those areas to ask. Now, your person may talk a little bit about a bunch of areas, and later after the interview, you can decide which areas of analysis you want to use. So just make sure they apply to the person that you interviewed, to the content you got out of the interview, which is why I say and ask, and you'll see in the next video, that your interview is at least 10 minutes long. I ask that because you need to get enough content. Some people tried to get by with 2 and 3 minute interviews. It just doesn't work for this kind of assignment. All right, so 4 areas of analysis, 2 required, 2 you choose from this list. You probably won't be able to choose those until you do the interview. All right, after the analysis is the ethnicity comparison section. And in this section, you're going to compare your racial ethnic background and identity to that of your interviewee. This is why I asked for you to interview someone that does not share a common ethnic racial background with yourself, because you're going to be comparing the 2. You're going to talk about yours, your culture, your identity formation, or anything having to do with what they talked about, and compare it to their experience. You're going to look for commonalities. You're going to look for differences. And this is where you're going to be using some of those outside sources. And since we cover those in another module, I won't go into depth, but you will use a minimum of 2 outside sources in this section. That means outside of the textbook. The first source must provide information about your racial ethnic identity. So it could be a chapter about your racial ethnic identity from another free textbook. It could be a research article where a study was done that had in the sample people of your racial ethnic background, right? The second article or source would be a piece, information about your interviewee's, right? The person you interviewed's racial ethnic identity. A book or journal article can be used here. So book or journal article, not a blog, not a YouTube video, not a magazine article, a book or a journal article. And we'll cover what those are. Well, I hope you know what a book is. Journal article you may not know. We do cover that later in the course. How to find the sources if you're like really, really interested right now. Okay, this is 3 paragraphs here. 30 points. And here's a little more detail here. And again, you'll have another little video here later on to look at as you get closer to writing the paper. And really, that's it. Then you write the conclusion. Conclusion, we're talking about half a page. You're summarizing, what you talked about. And then you have the references. Remember, APA format for the references. Please do not get the reference for the textbook wrong. I literally give it to you like so many places. It is in the course syllabus. It's on the course calendar. It's in the APA module. I probably should get it tattooed on me. No, because then I'd have like 10 different APA book citations. Yeah, we won't do that. But it's a lot of places. Please do not get it wrong because you can literally just copy and paste it from any of those places. I might even have it on the template. I don't know. I'm not going to go. You can look. References, 5 sources, the textbook, the 4 outside sources. And you can do this entire assignment without using secondary citations. If you're like, I don't even know what that is, it means when you're reading the textbook that is written, or the author is me, Unjin, and you cite, I don't know, Baltz or Freud or someone, that's considered a secondary citation because you didn't go and read that. You read the book, you cite the book you read. We'll learn more about that in the APA module. So if you're like, I'm totally lost, Professor, I don't even know what you're talking about, that is totally fine because I'd prefer you didn't even do that. Resources. Down here, a bunch of APA resources. The best APA resource by far now, I used to say it was OWL. It is no longer OWL. It is definitely the APA website. So APA has a website, apaformat.org. There's links here. There's a bunch of links. It is the best because it's made by APA. OWL used to be what everyone used, OWL. It was like by Purdue. And it's still good. It's still valid. If you're used to using that, it's great still. But APA has their own now. It's fancy. I like it. So you got a lot of resources here. Tutoring. I cannot stress, have a tutor look at your paper. Like, write it the week before it's due and have a tutor review it. You can submit it to NetTutor. They will review it, give you a printout. Now, you don't always get, it's hit or miss with NetTutor, okay? So don't feel bad if you have to resubmit it because you need some more input on it. You can ask the tutor, because they won't have the exact assignment, but ask them to look at structure, APA formatting, right? Your use of sources and citations. You can ask them what you want them to focus on for the input that they provide for your paper. It is invaluable. And it's sort of like anonymous. They don't know you. You don't know them. It's not like, your friend reading your paper and you feel embarrassed. Use NetTutor, like the college pays for it. Might as well get some use out of it. The grading rubric, I did not put it here on this page because it's like this tiny screenshot. It's not ADA compliant. Like, you will have to go to the assignment page to look at the rubric. What is on the rubric? It is listed by category, like by the sections of the paper. So you'll see all of these sections on the rubric, and do look at it because it is helpful to ensure that you've met all of the criteria by using the rubric. It is on the assignment submission page. That's all the way at the end of modules. On the last tab here, you just have our student learning outcomes and course objectives. So you know that we have goals for the course, and all of these are kind of encompassed in what you're doing for this paper. So if you're like, I don't want to go look at that rubric right now, you can just look at these and you know that this stuff is included in what I'm looking at in your paper. So I just include those so we always keep our eye on the prize, that these are the goals, these are the things you should be coming away with when you leave this course. These are things you should be able to do. All right, that is the paper. Let's go back to the template one more time, just so you can see how it looks on the template before I let you go, because this is too long already. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time here. Analysis section, remember you're going to have 4 paragraphs here, and I just put some examples in here. These may not be yours, like social identity is a required one, intersectionality is a required one. The 2 others you choose, so there's not a ton of examples there, but you can get the idea from these first 2. Then you have down, those are more examples, ethnicity comparison, right? Required section, conclusion. Did I give you the textbook? I even gave it to you on the template. Like, there is absolutely no reason for you to get this part wrong. You will definitely get points by just making sure you delete what's yellow, okay, highlighted. And then there's links here to help you with more APA formatting. So this seems like a lot, but once you kind of get like step by step, it's not a ton. Remember, you're putting the entire interview in here. So students always ask, well, how many pages should it be? Well, it's probably going to end up being like 20 pages. And they're like, oh my God, 20 pages. No, it's because you're putting the entire interview. If you have a 10-minute interview itself can be like 10 pages long, right? You literally have 4 paragraphs here, 3 paragraphs in the ethnicity comparison, which you're talking about yourself and then talking about your friend that you interviewed, a conclusion and an introduction. It's not that bad, I promise. It's not. But it will take you time. So please don't wait till the very last minute to do it. And see a tutor if you need help. All right, that is the overview of the psychosocial interview paper. And I hope that was helpful. And I'm sure I missed something. So please send a message in Pronto, ask questions in Pronto in the main course. I'd appreciate it if you're comfortable, because then everyone can see the answer and more than likely someone else has the same question. If you're like, oh, Professor, oh, please don't make me say it in the group chat, just DM me in Pronto. Like, send me a private message in Pronto, and I'll ask, like, if it's something I'm like, oh, can I share, like, this with the class, like, anonymously? Because, again, other students probably have the same questions. So please make sure you do ask questions. Thank you so much.